Hi everyone, my name is Chwan Rou and my matrix number is 300099, and today I would like to discuss about the gross domestic product GDP. So GDP is the total market value of a country's output, and it is the market value of all final goods and services produced within a given period of time by factors of production located within a country regardless of whether such factors are state-owned or foreign-owned for a period of 1 year, or it can also define as the total market value of all final goods and services produced annually within a country's borders. So to explain specifically, G is the gross, which means total or overall, which means before deducting the depreciation of capital, and D is the production within the country's border. So it is contrast with the national product, which is the value of goods and services produced anywhere in the world by the residents of the nation. And product is the final goods and services. Next, depreciation is a decrease in the value of the firm's capital that results from wear and tears and obsolescence. Gross investment is the total amount spent on the purchases of new capital and on replacing depreciated capital. And the net investment is the increase in the value of the firm's capital, which can be calculated by using the formula, which is net investment equals to gross investment minus by the depreciation. Next, the GDP excludes the output produced abroad by domestically owned factors of production, while includes the output produced domestically by foreign-owned factors of production. Therefore, the formula to calculate GDP is GDP equals to GNP plus the output produced domestically by foreign-owned factors of production minus by the output produced abroad by domestically owned factors of production. So there are three approaches to measure GDP, which are the expenditure approach, the income approach, and the production approach or value added. So the expenditure approach is the approach measure the total expenditure spent on all final goods and services in a given period. So the expenditure approach to computing GDP is GDP equals to C plus I plus G plus X minus M. So the C is equals to the aggregate consumption, include the expenditures by households on durable goods like cars, television, and handphones, and non-durable goods like vegetables, fruits, and breads, and services like doctors, lawyers, and education. And the I is the gross private domestic investment, refers to the acquisition by the private sector of new capital, such as factories, residential, machinery, and stockhouse. And the G is the government expenditure, is the expenditure of the federal, state, and local government on final goods and services. And X minus M, the S is a foreign expenditure on purchase of domestic goods and services. It also can be defined as the goods and services domestically produced and sold to the foreign countries, whereas the import M is the domestic expenditure on purchase of foreign goods and services. So the income approach to computing GDP is by adding up the amount of all income received in the production of goods and services throughout the economy. And the GDP is the summation of total income, which includes wages, rents, interest, and profits received by all production factors in producing final goods or services during the given period. So based on this approach, GDP is divided into five components, which are national income, depreciation, indirect taxes minus subsidized, net factor payment to the rest of the world, and others. Therefore, the equation of calculating GDP can be expressed as follows, which is GDP equals to national income plus depreciation plus bracket indirect taxes minus subsidized plus net factor payments to the rest of the world plus others. After that, the production of value-added approach, which is the sum of an additional value for each base of manufacture of all goods and services. In Malaysia, economic activity is divided into three categories, which are primary sector, is agriculture and mining and quarrying, secondary sector, manufacturing and construction, and services sector, which are utilities, wholesale and retail trades, and others. Next, there are two types of GDP, which are nominal GDP and real GDP. So nominal GDP is assessment of economic production in an economy that includes current prices in its calculation. And real GDP can be measured in constant or unchanging prices. In other words, real GDP is nominal GDP, but adjusted for inflation, and real GDP is more accurate way to measure economic growth since inflation can distort the actual value of goods and services. So that's all from me, and next we will discuss for the gross national product GNP.
Hi everyone, my name is Bong Xuan. My metric number is 3001304. Now I will explain the part of GNP, which is gross national product. The definition of GNP is estimate of the total value of all the final products and services. It turned out in a given period by the means of production owned by a country's residents, and it is used to measure a country's economy output. Now I will explain the formula for gross national product. National product equal to gross domestic product plus NFEA, which is net factor earning from abroad. In NFEA, there's two aspects that have included, which is income earned by citizen abroad and income foreigners earned here. So let's go through the exercise below. GDP is 200, income earned by citizen abroad is 15, and income foreigners here earned here is 25. So GNP equal to 200 plus bracket 15 minus 25 bracket equal to 190. So the GMP will be 190. Next, it is also an exercise for calculation GMP. So let's go through. GMP equal to GDP plus NFEA. And in this table, GDP equal to government plus consumption plus investment and minus net export. So GMP equal to 203 plus 377 plus 160 plus negative 267 plus NFEA, which is 0, equal to 473. So the GMP for this table is 473. The difference for these two GMP is indirect taxes and subsidies. Indirect taxes included in the market price of an item but not included in the factor cost of an item. So, and subsidies are included in the factor cost of an item but not included in the market price of an item. Therefore, GMP market price equal to GMP factor cost plus indirect taxes and minus subsidies. However, GMP factor cost equal to GMP market price minus indirect taxes plus subsidies. Difference of gross domestic product and gross national product. So let's go through the first one, which is indicator. Gross domestic product indicator used to measure the overall health and the size of the country's economy, while gross national product indicator represent how the citizens are subsidizing the country's economy. And gross domestic product mainly used to study outlines of domestic economy, while GMP studies mainly used to study or find out how residents are contributing to the economy. And GDP basis is location, while GMP basis is citizenship. And GDP is a measurement of domestic production, and GMP is a measurement of production by nationals. GDP included goods and service produced by foreigners within the country and exclude goods and service produced by citizens outside the country, while GMP include goods and service produced by citizens living outside the country and exclude the goods and services produced by the foreigners within that country. And for the last one, GDP scale level is on a local level scale, and GMP is on a international scale. Next, we will move to the next topic, which is limitation of gross domestic product concept.
My name is Yeoh Li Li and my metric number is 300114. Today I want to discuss the limitation of GDP concept. GDP has several limitations in agriculture, capturing the overall economic well-being and development of a society, as it primarily focuses on the total economic output without considering other important aspects that contribute to a comprehensive understanding of social process. First and foremost, non-market goods and service is not included in GDP. For example, let's say that I need to go to the airport from my home. If I call up Uber or Grab or something like that, and I take it to the airport, so they drive me to the airport that far and just charge me, and that will be included in GDP. But if my parents drive me to the airport, and that will not be included in GDP. Even though the extra same service has been performed, they are not trying to sell that service, they are just doing that to me as a favor. Moreover, GDP does not show the income inequality. For ranking by GDP for 2024, you can see that the US has the highest GDP on the list, and US is still high in the ranking by GDP per capita, but not higher nearby Luxembourg. The reason Luxembourg does not appear on the other list is that it is a very small country and it has a very small population compared to the US. So GDP per capita is just nominal GDP divided the number of people in the country. GDP is growing. That does not mean that everybody in the country is richer. It could mean that a very smaller number of people at the top and are getting richer while everybody else is structurally income state. Environment pollution also does not include in GDP. And then for underground activities, such as if someone will illegally sell you fireworks, let's say they are banned in your state, and of course, they are not gonna report it to the government, so it will not show in GDP. Sale of used goods and financial transactions are not included in GDP because they are do not represent the production of new goods or service. Government transfer payment not included in GDP because this payment not made in return for goods and service currently supplies. Raluca Maria Bala said that GDP calculation does not include output that has been produced in a previous period, and so the current GDP calculation period as it only accounts for the total value of goods and services produced within the specific time frame being measured, ensuring that only new production is reflected in the economy activity for that period. Next, we will move to discuss the NMP.
My name is Hamala, and my metric number is 300121. Today, I will explain about NNP, Net National Product. NNP is a monetary value of a finished goods and services that produced by a country's citizens, overseas or domestically in a given period. NNP also a term that is often used to represent the difference between GNP and depreciation. NNP can be also referred as national income at market prices. Now let's look at the formula for NNP. The formula for NNP is GNP minus depreciation, whereas GNP is the sum of market value of finished goods and market value of finished services. And let's look at the example that given in the slide. If you look at this data for the country, it shows that GNP for that country is $10,104 and the depreciation is 1,329, and the net national product is $8,775. Okay, now let's look at the difference between a GNP and NNP. GNP is the value of all finished goods and services produced by citizens in a country, usually during a year, domestically and abroad. Whereas NNP also can be termed as CFC, which is consumption of a capital utilized in a production process, which is GNP minus depreciation. The next difference is GNP is an economic indicator that economists use to identify solution to many economic problems in the country. For example, inflation and poverty, unemployment, and whatsoever. The next NNP is an economic indicator to assess a nation's growth against others, and it can help economists to determine whether sustaining specific activities within a certain environment is possible or not. Thank you very much. Now let's move on to the next slide, which is about the personal income.
Hi, my name is Amanina Husna, Binti Fadzal, and my matrix number is 300129. So I will talk about personal income. Personal income is income that actually received by households and individuals in nation during a year. So let's look at the next slide, what component in personal income. So in this slide, we can see that all components in personal income. So the amount of income that individuals actually receive. So to get personal income, we should minus undistributed corporate profits, minus social insurance taxes or EPF, minus corporate profit taxes, and lastly is transfer payments. So when we calculate all these components, we can get personal income. So we can see the example of component of personal income. This data we get in website BE government. Okay, let's look in components of personal income. Personal income can be calculated directly from the components of national income that are earned by individuals plus those components of income that are received but not part of factor production. So we can see the component of personal income is total personal income, wages and salaries, other labor income, proprietor income, rental income, personal dividend income, personal interest income, transfer payments, and all this is components of personal income. After that is disposable income, DPI. Disposable income is the part of the personal income that is left after the payment of personal direct taxes. To get disposable income, personal income minus personal income taxes. After that is disposable income. In this disposable income, the portion of personal income that can be used for consumption or saving. For this, we have two personal saving like personal saving and personal saving. So we can look example of personal and disposable income. So to get a personal income, the national income minus undistributed profit or EPF minus insurance plus transfer payments. So when we calculate all this, we can get personal or individual income. And after that, to get a disposable income, personal or individual income that we calculate in personal income minus income taxes or zakat for all Muslim. So when we calculate this, we can get a disposable income. And lastly, we can see the draft about GDP to national income to disposable income. And also, starting with GDP, we also can calculate national income and disposable income.